Can I shorten my logo process to 1 day? I've covered my logo design process on this channel a bunch. It includes researching, sketching, taking it to Illustrator, adding details, exploring fonts, exploring colors, and then handing it off to the client. That is an intense process, and it can take 1 to 2 weeks, especially once the client feedback gets started. But what if I could fit my entire logo design process into 1 day? And by a day, I mean 8 hours. Could doing this challenge help me book more clients and make more money? As a freelancer, so many of my clients tend to pay me on a net 30 or a net 60, which means I'm waiting 30 to 60 days to get paid once I finish a project. And that's a long time to wait for money. Second, over the last few months, I've been trying to practice my drawing skills. And this is usually easy to do when I have a lot of time on a project. But when I'm under pressure, it's so easy to skip this step. So I wanted to challenge myself and see if I could draw more in less time. And third, I don't want to sacrifice quality. I don't want to put something in my portfolio or hand something off to a client if it looks like crap. As a key art and brand designer working in entertainment, I thought it might be a fun challenge if I created a logo for a film company or a studio. If I like the logo, I can add it to my portfolio and maybe it'll help me get some more client work. And if not, I can just leave it here on YouTube. For this challenge, I came up with the name Wonder Dog. So I set a timer and jumped in. No matter how much time I had, I always try to make time for research and inspiration. For this, I hopped onto Pinterest and Behance and I started looking for pictures of dogs, dog logos, dog bodies, and even found some dog anatomy drawings. And while this was helpful, the majority of the stuff that I found was very static. And I felt like I wanted this logo to have more motion and energy, so I decided to pivot a little bit and look for dogs in action, dogs jumping, and things like that. It's so easy to get distracted while looking on Pinterest, so I had to give myself an hour and then move on. From there, I decided to start sketching. I took out my pad and I got to work, starting to combine some of my favorite ideas together. I really wanted to push myself for this part and not just copy a photo, but try to find interesting ways to combine my favorite elements together while also incorporating superhero elements like a mask, a cape, and a special dog collar. This part was a lot of fun, and I really tried to capture some different poses and actions to make the sketches more dynamic. I ended up with about 4 pages of sketches, and that's when I realized I've been drawing for 2 hours, and I need to move on because half of my time is gone. I used my iPhone to take pictures of the 4 pages of sketches, and then I airdropped them to myself and brought them into Photoshop so that I could clean them up a little bit. Because of the way that I photographed these, the images were a little bit yellow and just low contrast. So I quickly brought them in, added some levels adjustments, some brightness and contrast, just to make things black and white and boost that contrast as much as I could. This only took 5 minutes, and it saved me a bunch of time once I started tracing the sketch. With 3 hours down, I finally got my sketch into Illustrator. Tracing images in Illustrator is time-consuming, maybe one of the most time-consuming parts of the whole process. So I didn't have time to combine my favorite parts from different sketches at this stage. I had to pick one drawing and go all in. It might have saved me a little bit of time if I used a tablet here, but not much. 1 hour later and my line art is done. And looking back at it, I think it looked pretty good. At this point, time was ticking and I was starting to sweat. I still had to bring in my highlights, my shadows, add all of the details, find colors I liked, and figure out a way to integrate the type. I hate it when type feels slapped onto a logo, and I was determined not to let that happen with this project. If you're enjoying this video so far, be sure to hit the subscribe button. Okay, on to color palettes. I started to research colors, and I realized pretty quickly that a lot of the superhero color palettes I was looking at often included red, white, and blue. This made me think of characters like Captain America, Superman, even Wonder Woman. There's a lot of nostalgia there. I decided that I wanted to work with a palette like this because to me, it feels heroic, it feels strong, and it feels courageous. And those are some qualities that I definitely wanted my Wonder Dog logo to have. As I was coloring, I started to add details. And I don't usually do those two things at the same time, but this was my favorite part. Because I was already zoomed in, I started to add the details as I was going. And I realized that this was going to help save me quite a bit of time. This helped me save at least 45 minutes to an hour, which I needed because I only had 2.5 hours left. At this point, I was really starting to feel the pressure. Normally, I could easily spend a couple of hours doing a thorough font exploration, but I really had to condense this to save time by using fonts that I already had installed on my system. I knew that a bold, sans serif condensed font would visually feel very powerful and help to balance the weight of the dog. So I picked nickel gothic variable condensed. I decided to arc the type in a semicircle, add some thick, bold outlines to it, and then I extruded the text to add motion and make it look more connected, like it was coming from behind the dog and reaching out to the viewer. Finally, I added some highlights to the text and we're done. Oh wait, we're not done. With 1 hour left, I still had to save out my files and export all of the colors. I used to do this manually and it would take at least an hour. That's when I realized that I recently came across 2 Adobe Illustrator extensions that would save me a lot of time: Logo Package Swatch and Logo Package Express. With Logo Package Swatch, I could simply select my artwork, click a single button, and watch the extension pull all of the colors that I'm using. And from there, it saves out a PDF for you with all of the color breakdowns, your RGB values, your CMYK values, even Pantone colors. And with Logo Package Express, I didn't have to take so much time to export all of my logos manually. I could choose what part of the logo or the entire logo I wanted to save out and watch the extension save everything out: my Illustrator files, EPS, PDF, JPEG, PNG, pretty much anything you need for print or web in an organized and easy to follow folder structure. Check out the link in the description below for 20% off Logo Package Express and Logo Package Swatch. So was I able to create a logo in 8 hours? Yeah, in general, I think the logo turned out pretty good. For the time that I gave myself, I didn't feel like I rushed, and I don't think that I had to sacrifice the quality. So would shortening my logo process help me take on more clients and make money more quickly? Well, the short answer is yes, I think it would. The long answer is I was really feeling the pressure, and I kind of felt like I was doing someone else's last-minute project. I wondered if this would really be a sustainable way to work. I thought about it a lot, and I feel like the only way to really make this more sustainable would be to charge a lot more money for this type of one-day logo intensive. I typically charge $1,500 to $2,000 for a logo project, and I'll do that in about 1 to 2 weeks. But in order to make this worth it, I feel like I would have to charge double. I wonder if there are clients out there who would need a high quality logo in a short time frame like this. And if so, would they be willing to pay more for it? The drawing part of this felt so great. I realized that I don't have to skip the sketching and drawing phase, even if I don't have a lot of time. I was able to knock out about 4 pages of sketches in 2 hours. And it felt like a good exploration. Overall, I think the quality was good, but I had to make some sacrifices. I didn't get to make mood boards, I couldn't combine my favorite parts from different sketches together, and I didn't have the time to do a thorough and deep font exploration. If I had more time, I think I would have spent it trying to add more details, more textures, and trying to get things like the gold on the collar and the gold type to look a little bit more shiny and real. And overall, I think I maintained a pretty high standard for this logo and kept it high quality. But would I add this to my portfolio? I'm not so sure. The logo itself feels very playful and cartoony, and while I had a lot of fun making it, it just feels a little bit too different from a lot of the other work I do, which is more photorealistic key art. I'm just not sure how these two things would live together on the same website. I want to do more illustrative work like this, but I need to figure out how I can combine different types of work without confusing prospective clients. If you have any suggestions on how I could do that, let me know in the comments. So if you want to see my full logo design process that's not condensed, check out this video next. All right, creative, thanks so much for watching, keep designing, and we'll see you in the next one.